So this lady's like, I'm your wife, open the door. And he's like, I promise you no one is in here. First of all, I'm not no Arya Stark. A girl has a name, okay? I'm in here. Welcome to All Things A.
Sorry guys, we've been MIA. It was summer. We were living our best lives. Now we're back. Today it's going to be, so I'm going to do her hair.
Yes.
I know last time, guys, I said I was going to do something and then ended up doing 2 buns. Today we're going to be serious and do something while she's going to do
story time on the time I found out my boyfriend was actually married.
If that interests you, keep watching.
Yes. But this all started summer 18 when I went to Washington, D.C. for 3 months for an internship. So I'm in D.C.
So you're really cool.
I said an internship. Did I say school? Okay. So I'm over there for an internship. I'm living my best life. I'm enjoying D.C. You know, life is good. I'm out with a friend. Sam. We're bar hopping. And I meet this boy. While I'm trying to go down the stairs, he was trying to come up the stairs.
No clip.
Yes.
You taking video now?
No. Any more questions? Anywho, so obviously, like, he stops me. He's talking to me. He's like, oh, you're so pretty. Da-da, can I get your number? And I'm like, of course. He was very beautiful. He was 6'2". You know, his body was right. Okay. He had nice teeth, no tattoos that I could see. So far, so good. So I give him my number and we start texting. So fast forward, I'm seeing... No, because that's not something you ask someone.
Oh.
Because if you're married, why are you at the club?
Oh,
why are you at the club trying to talk to me if you're married? Okay, so he came at me as if he was single. So I just always assumed he was single. So...
Rule number 1, don't make assumptions.
Yes, rule number 1, never ever make assumptions. Fast forward, I'm talking to this boy almost every day. At this point, I'm like in love. It's only been 2 weeks, but I'm in love. I can already tell he's the one. So...
Rule number 2, don't be catching feelings at week 2. Please.
This man was literally, he had every single thing that I was asking God for. Every single thing, honestly. Okay, so I'm seeing this man every single week, like multiple times a week. He's taking me on dates. He's showing me around DC. He's taking me to Haitian restaurants all the way in Maryland. He's taking me to Virginia. Like, he is just showing me a good time. So, you know, everything is nice and dandy. I was living with 3 girls, right? So one day, all 3 of my roommates went somewhere. I forgot where they went, but they were just out for a weekend. So I invited him to my apartment. So he comes to my apartment. We're watching TV. Everything is going nice. Now, for those of you who watch Love and Hip Hop, this is the episode we were watching. We were watching the episode where Fizz's baby mom, Moniz, fought Fizz's new girlfriend, right? So we're watching an episode where this guy who has a child with this woman, and the woman, the baby mother, is fighting the girlfriend. So I just thought it was really funny. And literally out of nowhere, I'm just like, would you ever date a girl with a kid? And he immediately says no. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So he's like, would you ever date a guy with a kid? And I'm like, honestly, you know, I never really thought about it. But I guess I could, depending on how old the kid is. So he's like, oh, what would be your limit? And I'm like, probably 6 years old, because in my head, I'm thinking the younger the kid, the better chance you have at like building a relationship with the kid, right? Isn't that what you would think?
Sure.
Okay, well, that's what I thought. So I was like, 6 years old would be my limit, my absolute limit. So he's like, oh, okay. And he just like, he just had this little laugh after I said that. And I was like, what, you don't have a kid, do you? And this man tells me, actually, I do. Guys, this is 2 months later.
Rule number 3. So, no me atrás
This is 2
Por que
months.
isso está on date 1? Do you have any kids?
Here's my thing though. On date 1, we were talking about our families. I was talking about my sisters. I was talking about my mom, my dad. He was talking about his mom, his dad, his sisters. So it's like, why wouldn't you mention you have a child? That's just being shady. That's pretty much lying to me, if we're being honest.
No, il pas lying.
No, that is lying. But if you're specifically keeping information,
Il pas specifically keeping.
you are. If I'm talking about your families, you have a whole kid. You don't say you have a kid. How is that not?
Wife, il pas dit wife.
Girl.
Girl, get up.
Anyways, so guys, at this point, when he says actually I do, I'm honestly, in my head, I'm like, this is a joke. I don't even think he's serious. So I'm like, no, you don't. Because I literally feel like I know this man so well. Because like I said, I'm seeing him every other day for 2 months now. We're talking all the time. We're out at all type of hours of the night. Like how do you have a kid? You don't have a kid. So I'm like, no, you don't. And he's like, yes, I do. So I'm like, you know what? He wants to play games. Let's entertain it. I'm like, okay, boy or girl? He's like, boy. I'm like, what's his name? And he tells me a name. And I'm like, show me a picture. Because I'm like, wait. And sure enough, he goes through his phone. He shows me a picture of his child. And the kid is pretty big too. So I'm like, wait a minute. How old is this kid? 5.5. After I just said... After I just told this man, my limit is 6 years old. How old is his child? 5.5. So now I can't be mad, right? Well, I was mad, but I can't be like, what the fuck? Because I just said 6 was my limit.
Oh,
Right. So at this point, I'm like, no, show me baby pictures, because I'm still not believing. I'm like, show me baby pictures, show me this, show me that. And he's showing me all these things. He really does have a son. So at this point, I'm just getting so pissed off. I'm like, but how do you not tell someone you have a kid? I'm just getting so aggravated. And I'm like, you know what? Where's the mom? Where's the mom? Like, where's the kid? Where's the mom? Who has the kid while you're right here? And he tells me that the mom is crazy.
Rule number... When a guy tells you a girl is crazy, an ex was crazy.
Anyways, he goes, oh, she's just so crazy.
Investigate.
She's so crazy. She didn't want to be a mom. I have full custody. My family helps me out with him. Like, he's at grandma's house right now. She's just not in the picture. Right? Okay. So I'm still pissed. I'm like, you know what? Just leave. Like, this is too much. So he leaves. We don't talk for a few.
Minutes?
A few hours. And so I remember I called my little sister. And I'm calling my little sister. And I'm just so upset. And I'm like, I love this man. I love this man. Everything else about him is right. He checks off all my other boxes. Like, is a kid the worst thing that could happen?
Meanwhile, you're 20.
I'm 20 years old. He's 24. And he has a 5.5-year-old. But guys, I'm in love, right? Or so I think. So, my sister tells me, you know what? It's definitely not the worst thing that could happen.
Liz.
Yes.
Oui.
I don't even ask her about stuff like that because... So Annalise is like, that's not the worst thing. That's not the worst thing that could happen. You could be a stepmommy. A lot of people do it. So I'm like, okay, cool. So
Annelise, ça te mauvais advice. Map to do something.
So I'm like, okay, so we get back to our little mojo. We're seeing each other all the time. At this point, he meets Anais because Anais came to visit me. Anais loved him. Or, I mean, she pretended.
No, li pas mal. Li pas bon mauvais petit garçon.
Okay, so why'd you make a face?
No, ou di love him kakou.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Anais liked him. She didn't have any issues, okay? He didn't meet my mom, but like we all would talk and text. So this is getting pretty deep now, right? Okay. So August comes around, I have to go back to Florida. So because it was a 3-month program, I was only a summer intern, so I have to go back to Florida. Now I didn't really want to do long distance, so we kind of had a talk of like, you know, what we're going to do. Are we going to break it off or what? And he's like, you know what? Like, I really love you. I think we could make this work. Long distance. You know, 1 month you'll see me, 1 month I see you. We'll rotate. You know, we'll make this work. And of course I said yes. So he officially asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes. So we start doing that. We start going on a month by month basis. And it was going great. He came to Florida. We went to Disney. I went to DC. Everything is nice and dandy. I met the kid. Okay, I met the kid. Now, here's where, now we're in December, right? So from August to December, we're still going strong. Now, December, we didn't see each other because I went to Haiti. January is his birthday month, so I figured January I would go and see him. So I book a flight. Here I am in January, going to see my man.
Booboo the Fool.
Booboo the Fool. We're having a great time. I met some of his friends. You know, everything is going great. We went to the mall with the kid, and then we went to dinner, and then we went ice skating, all that with the kid, right? And then at the end of the night, the kid went back to grandma's house, so I thought, but the kid really went to his mom's house. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. The day before his birthday, it is 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, it's his birthday.
Right.
4 o'clock.
His phone just starts going off. And he's like a really heavy sleeper, but I'm not. So I immediately wake up and I'm like, what's going on? And he's just ignoring all the calls.
Rule number. Ou après prendre téléphone dans deux femmes. 4 heures du matin, quelqu'un t'appelle. It's an emergency. You have to answer.
About 10 minutes later, this is what I hear at the door. I'm like, is this the FBI? What is going on? And this man is dead asleep, acting like he doesn't hear anything. And I'm like, go over. Yeah, first of all, I'm a woman. I'm not opening the door. Second of all, this is your house. Like, so he goes to open the door. As soon as he opens the door, I hear, who the fuck do you have in here? Who do you have meeting my son? Who the fuck do you think you are? Listen, this lady is going off.
Who no lady at all?
Who? No, I stayed in the room. Like I said, I stay in the room because I'm not going to open a door. It's not my house. I'm a guest. I'm not going to open your door. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking it's the FBI. I would have preferred if it was the FBI, honestly. So immediately I hear this lady screaming. I call Anais at 4 o'clock in the morning. Just as you guessed it, she doesn't answer.
Anais Anais someone qui paye taxi, Anais someone qui respecte tête.
She leaves me in the worst moments of my life. She leaves me high and dry. So I call Anais. I'm what, 20 at the time? Qui l'âge Anais? Anais doit pas même 18 ans.
18 ans.
Moi les Anais.
Même les Anais par contre.
Ah oui là.
C'est si que Anais est cellulaire même.
Girl. I call Anais. I'm like, I'm not crying yet because I'm just so in shock and she's still yelling outside. So I'm like whispering. I'm like, girl, like this girl popped up. I'm like, what should I do? She's like, well, pack your clothes, book a flight, you know, come home. Like, what is going on? Right, because she's like, what kind of girl is banging on the door at 4 a.m.? And in the midst of Annalise talking to me, I hear this lady and she screams, "I'm your wife! Open the door!" This is when I really start crying. Because I'm like, oh my God, like, is this real life? Because mind you, I'm in DC. I have no friends. I have no family.
C'est pas love any pop-up, gadi.
What?
Kunya yung bon si love any pop-out.
I'm following my heart, you know, with trying to be there for my man's birthday. Like, I'm thinking I'm doing good,
It's
right?
about men, no.
He asked me to be his girlfriend. He was my man. So this lady's like, "I'm your wife, open the door." And he's like, "I promise you no one is in here." First of all, I'm not no Arya Stark. A girl has a name, okay? I'm in here. I'm in here. I'm not gonna fight. It's not my house. But in my head, I'm like, what the hell? So obviously that was the child's mom. She was upset because I guess the kid ran back.
About the child's mom, not the wife.
Anyways, the kid ran back and was talking about how he had such a great time with me, daddy's friend. Okay? So she was upset. She was jealous. She was upset. I mean, who wouldn't be? So,
She was in her right.
Anyway, so he like closes the door on her. He does not let her go in. In this time, all my clothes are packed. I'm already on JetBlue.com. I've already booked a flight. I'm just ready to go. So he comes back into the room. I'm thinking he's gonna start talking. This man goes right back to sleep. He literally doesn't even say a word to me. He goes right back to sleep. So in the morning, he wakes up. Girl, I couldn't sleep. My stomach was up and down. I couldn't sleep. I was crying. I just was a mess. While this man is snoring next to me, I'm just a mess. He wakes up, then he wants to talk to me. And he wants to explain how they're separated. They're trying to get a divorce, but it's just taking so long. Yada, yada, yada. Basically all these lies, right? So me being me, I'm like, you know what? I believe you. So my flight that was supposed to leave that same day, I didn't take that flight because I believed him. Rule, are you going to say a rule or no? Give the girls a rule. Anyways, I believed him. He showed me the paper. You know, he showed me the lawyer papers and all. And again, I love this man. So I'm thinking, wow, she really is crazy.
I love this man like love is the answer to all things.
But love,
it's not. No, it's not. Love is not enough.
Okay. No, you're right.
Love, I love this man. I love this
So
man.
I decide to stay, right? So the kid comes back to the house. And even though I decide to stay, I still like in my heart, I'm like, something is up. So I'm like talking to the kid. I get like a moment alone with the kid and I'm trying to get some information from the kid. Cause at this point the kid is 6. Like you're old enough to tell me what's up. So the kid confesses to me that sure enough, the mom sleeps over and he shows me where she keeps her clothes. Okay, the kid really pretty much tells me everything I needed to know. And that's where I drew the line. That's where I believed it. Because the kid, why would a kid lie to me? You know what I mean? So after the kid told me all that, I went to him and I was like, well, this is what your son told me. You know, like, why would he lie?
Rule number, you never reveal your sources. Okay,
don't care. So I'm like, this is what your son told me. Clearly you've been lying to me because why would a kid lie to me? Like he's telling me his mom sleeps over here sometimes and you're telling me she's crazy that you don't even talk to her like that. You know what I mean? So why is the kid telling me mommy sleeps over when you're telling me mommy doesn't want to be involved at all? There's a clear disconnect. So that was the draw for me. So we officially broke things off. And he took me to the airport so I could go back home. And that is how I found out my boyfriend was married. Final rule, honestly, ladies, don't be like me. From the very first date, ask good questions. Google this man. You know, do a full and thorough background check, because, you know, a marriage is public information. I could have easily found that out if I just was on top of my shit, which I wasn't. So that's my advice to you all. Anice, do you have any advices?
Don't listen to your heart, ever.
That's horrible advice.
No, that's not.
It is.
If your heart is telling you something, but your brain is telling you something else, 90% of the time, your brain is right.
Okay.
90.
Okay.
Okay. Lord. So moral of the story is to always listen to my advice, because obviously Anis did a very poor job advising her. Now, to Anis's defense, she was 16. So, we're just gonna pass it to her.
So my defense, I was 20. I was young and dumb. I was
but
in
you're
love.
still young and dumb, though.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Those are my Fulani. Those braids.
My sister did some cute Fulani braids for me.
Fulani, dans l'autre sens.
Okay.
Tu voyez?
Pretty.
Et puis le reste, voilà.
Okay.
If you need braids, book me. Nah, but thank you for tuning in.
I hope you guys like this story time. Subscribe, like, share. See you 2 Mondays from now. Bye.